Hello everyone and welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you all here today. I'm Leila Moslem Mehni, PhD candidate at the Department of Near and Middle Eastern Civilization. I want to take a moment to recognize and thank some individuals here today. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Dr. Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali, whose support of the Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies has made this program possible. I also want to thank our mentor, Professor Mohammad Taqi, the inaugural director of the Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies, for supporting the Iranian Studies Student Forum. My sincere thanks also go to Bilal Hashmi for his continuous support and organizing such an event. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, this land has been the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississauga of the Credit. Today, it continues to be the home of many indigenous people from across Turtle Island. We are deeply grateful for the opportunity to gather and work on this land. Now, I would like to pass the floor to my colleague Negar Bani-Safar, but before that, I have a word to say about her. I am happy to announce that Negar Bani-Safar has been elected as the new president of Iranian Studies Student Forum, ISSF. We are looking forward to her new role and leadership. And if you have any remarks, Professor Tawakoli, I would be happy to hear.
Well, I would like to thank you for serving as inaugural president of the Iranian Studies Student Forum. And you have done an exceptional job. And we look forward to the university.
I never forget Leila's efforts, and she started this student forum, and it was I really applaud her, and she sets a really good example for, I guess, me and students here. And I'm deeply grateful to Professor Hamad for having such a space so that all students here can sort of experiment and learn and do this leadership roles in university.
Thank you, Leila.
Thank you, Leila.
Thank you.
So, today we're going to have Mahak Rouhina from Heritage to Design, Ancient Motifs in Contemporary Visual Language, and a brief introduction to Mahak's biography. Mahak is a visual artist and graphic designer who holds master degrees in art history from the University of Toronto and visual communication from Tarbiyat Mudarris University in Iran. Her deep interest in Iranian art history informs and inspires her creative practice, a focus that is clearly reflected in her designs. She is the author of The Analysis of the Graphical Features of the Ornamental Patterns in the Tomb of Khaja Ali Safi, and has published research on Iranian visual culture, including the motif of cedar trees in Qajar and Safavid rocks, and a review of logos of 17 top universities in Iran in the 2019 Times rankings. Mahak has participated in several international art competitions, earning awards for her work. Since 2022, she has been serving as a graphic designer for the Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies, Cinema Iranica, and Woman Poets Iranica.
Thank you, Negar John, and hello everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you today, and thank you so much for joining us, whether you're here in person or online. And many thanks also to Professor Taqi and Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies for making this session possible. Today, we're going to take a creative journey together, exploring the beautiful world of traditional Iranian motifs and discovering how they can inspire the modern logo. Many modern designer ideas in Iran come from the country's rich visual heritage. Plasterwork, tile work, pottery motifs, and centuries-old break patterns. In this workshop, we'll look closely at these details, find inspiration in every corner of Iranian art and architecture, and see how they can inspire new creative ideas. I hope you enjoy it and find it inspiration. Today, we live in the age of communication, where we can connect with each other instantly, even across thousands of kilometers. Words alone often can't keep up with this fast and widespread exchange of information. That's where images and visual symbols come in. They convey ideas simply, clearly, and in a way everyone can understand. Graphic design uses this visual language as a universal form of communication, understandable to people all around the world. Look at these images. We can all understand the images. Some are conventional and may require training, such as traffic signs. Others are very simple and direct, so much so that everyone from children to the elderly, regardless of language, can understand them. Emojis that we use every day to express our feeling are a good example of this. Here, images are used instead of words. It doesn't matter what language the viewer speaks. Everyone can understand the same concept of seeing these things. A logo is one of the most important parts of graphic design. It acts as the face of an organization or brand. A good logo should be simple, memorable, and visually appealing, clearly showing the identity and uniqueness of the organization. Logos can be pictorial or symbol-based or typographic or text-based, and their strong visual quality helps them stand out and stay in people's mind. Here you can see some famous international logos, and the right side, some well-known Iranian logos. Most of them probably look familiar to you, since you've seen them many times. Now let me ask a question. Have you ever thought about why some logos stick on your mind so easily? How is that just one quick look can instantly remind us of a brand or organization? That's exactly what makes a logo or symbol powerful. If we look back at the visual arts of Iran, from prehistoric times to the ancient and Islamic periods, we can notice one common feature, a special role of decoration. Iranian artists were never satisfied with plain and raw surfaces. They always tried to enrich their works with delicate motifs and designs. For them, decoration was not just about beautifying, it was a way to show meaning, inspire emotion, and keep cultural and spiritual values alive. The visual arts of Iran are a vast source of motifs, masterfully and efficiently designed. According to Morteza Momayyez, known as the father of modern Iranian graphic design, much of today's graphic knowledge and techniques in Iran are based on the achievements of past masters. By drawing inspiration from traditional motifs and carefully applying modern graphic design principles, contemporary artists can create beautiful designs and logos that meet today's technical standards. These motifs are admired through their beauty, simplicity, abstraction, symbolic meaning, and creative transformation of natural shapes. We can divide these motifs into three main categories: floral or plant motifs, geometric motifs, and calligraphy. And two second motifs include animal motifs and human motifs. Most of the main visual elements of Iranian art during this Islamic period were used in religious setting, while the secondary motifs were more commonly those not exclusively found in objects such as vessels, carpets, textiles, and other non-religious spaces. Instead of trying to represent nature realistically, Iranian artists often lean toward abstraction and simplification. A great example of this can be seen in a decorated cup from Susa dating back to the 4th millennium BCE. The figure and horse of the mountain goat on the cup are drawn in a beautifully simple and abstract way. The logo of the Iran National Tourism Organization was inspired by this very material modern design rooted in ancient art. The logo can be seen as symbolizing the attraction of visitors to a land with such a deep history and cultural heritage. Here we can see how the theme of our logo connects and harmonizes with the motif we choose. By finding this connection, we can make sure that our design not only looks good, but also carries meaning. This tendency toward abstraction and decoration continued during the Islamic period. For instance, in Neyshabur ceramic from the Samanic era and Buyid period during the 19th to 11th centuries, artists depicted birds using a few simple and flowing motifs, showing them in the most simplified form possible. This simplification of forms is very important and functional in logo design as well. Some Western scholars have suggested that the abstract nature of Iranian Islamic art stems from religious restriction on depicting living figures. However, archaeological evidence tells a different story. When we look at pre-Islamic pottery from sites like Susa and Tapehesar, we can already see a strong tendency toward abstraction and simplicity. Moreover, the abundance of human and animal motifs in Islamic art shows that this preference to stylization and decoration has much deeper roots. It's an essential part of the Iranian artistic spirit and way of thinking. Now it's time to look at how Iranian motifs are used in modern logo design. These elements hold a special place in modern Iranian graphic art. Sometimes the traditional motifs, simply by being carefully redesigned with proper graphic techniques, has been transferred into a beautiful logo that fully meets today's graphic principles. We look at some examples of these logos together. Beside the tourism organization logo we saw earlier, here are 3 more logos. The University of Tehran, Saifa Automotive Company, and the University of Zol. As you can see, all of these logos are modern designs inspired by ancient Iranian motifs. The first one is the University of Tehran logo. This logo is based on a Sasanian era clay tablet. The 2 wing-like shapes that immediately catch the eye in this logo evoke the idea of flight, progress, and elevation. In center of the logo conveys this message: the university is not only a place for learning, but a space for growth and self-cultivation that leads to human excellence. That's the university motto. And the words Danishgah or university and Tehran at the top are designed using letter form inspired by the script of the Pahlavi and Sassanid period. And these 2 wings can also be seen on the official robe of University of Tehran professors. This logo was designed by Mohsen Muqaddam, a professor at the University of Tehran, who is also seen wearing the robe in this photo. The second Saifa logo features a central core with 3 wings pointing outward. Around it, 3 inward-facing wings symbolize the company's main internal strengths: human sources, raw materials, and financial resources. The 3 outward directions represent its outcomes: products, profit, and services. The overall form also suggests movement and interconnected routes, much like the past vehicles travel. As you can see in this slide, its design was inspired by the Red Dome of Malaghe. And the last one is the University of Zabul. The logo is directly derived from an ancient sale from Shahr Sufte, meaning burned city, dating back around 5,000 years. The design can be seen as 4 people with 4 books, beautifully symbolizing knowledge and education while still preserving its traditional identity. As you can see, the artists who originally created these motifs had a very different intention from ours today. For example, the artist who created the seal from Shahr Sufte wasn't thinking about 4 books in 4 directions. And the artist who decorated the Red Dome of Malaghe certainly had no idea about modern traffic signs. What truly matters here is the creativity of today's designer, someone who can look at these historic elements from a new perspective, reinterpret them in relation to their own concept or purpose, and create a meaningful and beautiful connection between the past and the present. Besides directly choosing a historical pattern that fits the theme of our project, we can also use different techniques to make our logo more meaningful and visually interesting. For example, we can combine elements, removing or add part of the design, simplify it, or repeat a section in a symmetrical or circular way. All of these efforts aim to achieve 2 main principles: visual appeal and creating meaning. Let's look at this well-known example. The Iran Air logo was inspired by one of the ancient column capital of Persepolis. The design in the shape of the mythical bird Homa. Homa is the company's official name, an abbreviation of Havapeimai Milli Iran, meaning National Airline of Iran, and the mythical bird Homa, which inspired the main form of this logo. The designer Edward Zohrabian simplified the original column capital of Persepolis and added a wing to highlight the idea of flight. This way, the logo connects both of Iran's ancient art and to a universal concept of movement and freedom. This logo has been used as Iran Air's visual identity for almost 60 years without any change. Its artistic design and consistency over time had made this one of the most recognizable and lasting logos in Iran. Here's an important point. In this logo, we see the wings as a direct symbol of flight. While in the University of Tehran logo, the wings represent advancement, progress, and growth in a more indirect way. The key idea is that the same visual element, the wing, can have different meaning depending on the context. So it's up to you to create and communicate the semantic connection. Another example of ancient motifs that have inspired modern logo design and typography can be found in historical script. In the early Islamic period, when the Arabic alphabet replaced the Pahlavi script, calligraphy became a central art form in Iran. Artists developed the creative form of Kufic script, which for over 7 centuries adorned architecture, mosques, and everyday objects. The final form of this script remains influential in graphic design today. One theory suggests it emerged in the late Ilkhani period, inspired by Chinese imperial seal, brought to Ilkhani rulers. For example, the first Persian decree by Gikhatu in 1292 bears such a seal. Iranian artists adopted this style, creating seals with Persian inscription that balanced positive and negative space. Examples include seal of the Sheikh Abu Ishaq Injur and Sultan Ahmad Jalali. Over time, this aesthetic expanded beyond seals, becoming the decorative script known as Kufik Banoi. Although the original idea was borrowed, Iranian artists infused it so deeply with their own artistic principles that the resulting forms became inter-Iranian in character. By the Taymurid and Safavid period, Kufik Banai reached its artistic peak, especially in tile work, brick designs, and other architectural decorations. Even today, it remains highly valued as a decorative and pictorial element in Iranian art and design. Beautiful example of this script can be seen on the dome of Sultaniye in Zanjan, which once served as the capital of the Ilkhani. On the right side, you can see the logo of the Islamic Art Studies section at the University of Oxford, which was inspired by one of the Kufik inscriptions from the dome of Sultaniye. Another example of Kufik script, this motif also dates back to the Ilkhani period. It is familiar to many Iranians. A similar design appears on the Bahar Azadi gold coin. In this work, the artist has skillfully designed the positive and negative spaces to be equal in size and form, creating a perfectly balanced composition. And another beautiful example of Kufik script can be seen in Safavid tile work. Here, the designer has created the logo of the National Organization for Educational Testing named Sazman Sanjesh, using the negative space form between the script's line. The nearly 100-year history of modern graphic design in Iran shows that artists have always drawn inspiration from the rich visual heritage of Iranian art, as we saw in the examples today. But we should remember that we can truly benefit from this treasure only when we approach it with curiosity, creativity, and a deep understanding of its meaning. And finally, it's not just logos that can draw from this rich heritage. Many other art forms like illustration, fashion design, carpet design, and many more are already reinterpreting in the past to create the art of today. I can show you this example of this context. In this section, you can see a composition inspired by a historical monument. All the elements in the image, some without any alternation, and other with slight modifications, are derived from the decorative motifs of the dome of Khwaja Ali Safi dating back to the 14th century. The color palette is also based on original colors of the monument. And this other image is a childhood illustration. The plans were directly extracted from several tiles from the Ilkhani period and then used in a new composition. This logo for the Iranian Studies Students Forum is inspired by a Khatai leaf, one of the most common motifs in Iranian art. You can find this motif decorating the borders of calligraphy, tile work, carpets, and manuscript. The circle represents unity, connection, and community, while the leaf symbolizes growth, vitality, and progress. Progress.
Impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. These images show a simple overview of the process we'll be doing together. Here you can see photos from different objects. I want you to pick one of these designs and take just a small detail from it. You don't need to use the inter design. Just choose a part of the inspires you, or a small, interesting detail, just like this image. Yes, yes. After choosing the detail or elements we want to work with, we place a sheet of paper over the motif and copy the shape. By rotating the paper, we can also try out different orientation or see how the shape changes. This helps us experiment and discover new possibilities for the design. You can find your logo without making any changes at all, or you might want to modify it by adding or removing certain elements, like we added the Huma airline logo, or use symmetry, repetition, or combine elements to create a completely new design. You can see this step in this image and another image. And this important thing is to keep exploring and be patient. Okay, change your perspective, think differently, be playful, and don't worry about anyone judging you.
And the today's interpretation of them, sometimes imitation. Like, then at some point, I think you mentioned that the Islamic era, the motifs were just geometric and they were more limited. And then you showed us examples of very old time. And so I think my question is that how do you see it? I mean, do you see like a historical continuity? Because we see motifs 5,000 years old and now we see them. How do you see that historically? Because this question of continuity is very much big in my head. I myself can't wrap my head around it. So I couldn't figure if you are suggesting continuity because of these shared motifs. I think maybe also you always question this continuity in this historic line. So my question is that, do you think that, or suggesting there is a historic continuity between these graphic designs because we have examples that are 5,000 years old and now we see them coming into life now?
Or could it be because of the appeal of this rich, highly diverse graphic heritage that people tap into it, tap into the ancient, tap into the medieval, tap into the 18th century, 17th century?
So somebody use this even as an example, saying, oh, well, this is a continuation of Iranian history, something.
Yeah, if I understood correctly, it's depends on the designer. It's no different. That goes back to which century or which which years, and it might be happen anytime.
Yeah, that's
breaking away and sort of innovating rather than continuing and using. But my view would be that Iranian graphic design based on artwork of the ancient to 18th, 19th century is so diverse that it allows engagement, and a lot of the creativity is embedded in active engagement with the motifs and with symbols of the past and transform them into a logo that reminds you the past, but also embodies creativity. That creativity is the most important part. And the one that you talked about, Huma, Iranian national heirloom, actually the logo had gone through a transition from the initial one to the second one, the final one that was redesigned by Khosrow Bayat, who lives in Toronto, and has turned it into a more or less vital, moving. You already see them moving in it. But the key issue is that there is such a diverse sort of repository of artistic elements that enables an artist to tap into it and include their own, engage in a dialogue with the past for creating something new, rather than being traditionalists. In a sense, the question is that does this rich sort of artistic heritage turn you into a replicator of the old stuff rather than creating something vibrant and new and groundbreaking? Yeah. Aren't you just imitating in a lot of these good-looking stuff, the artwork of the earlier time, rather than doing something radically new? So that's the question.
If you allow us, maybe we can take some questions online and then we will get back to.
We need to force them, but that's all right.
Professor, Dr. Moshiri, I guess you had a question. You had your hand up. If you want, you can unmute yourself.
Sure. Thank you very much for illuminating talk, Mahak John, and always enjoy your designs. I wanted to know personally what motivates you when you look at the image. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you want to take something away and design your graphic designs around it? What are some of the elements that capture your eyes? I know, for example, you use cypress tree a lot in some of your designs, but are there other images or other motifs that you personally are attached to? Because every graphic designer has some elements. I wanted to know whether you have a personal favorite.
Thank you for your question. And my preference is the manuscript, and I just to modify it with based on our purpose. My personal.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Guron, I'm the professor of engineering and mathematics, but I'm Iranian, that's why I'm here. Was this a part of your research, your grants, that you're presenting this thing here or university? Or...
No, it's like my previous masters in Iran.
Okay. From Tarbiyat Modaris?
Yes.
I don't know much about these universities. I think Mrs. Eftekar was there. She's very well. You studied graphic design there or what subject?
Eftekar was at Azahra University. Azahra.
Oh, she's from Al-Zahra University.
No, she's from.
Eftekar is definitely from Tarbiyat Modaris. Personally, she's very well known, of course. I said that, what did you study there? What subject did you study? Graphic design?
Yes.
Okay.
Mahak is also art history student here at the University of Toronto.
Okay, very good. Now, the question is that that was very nice. You showed that on University that is in school. The one with Sovabian is an architect. Have you studied that the logo of two top university? One is Pahlavi University, which is now Shiraz. And the other one, Aryamet University, which I was a professor there. And among 100 top students in Iran, 97 of them, they go to Aryamet University. Have you studied the logo of these two universities? And can you tell us that who were the designer of those logos? I can show you here. The university is this the logo. Have you seen it?
No. So
Do you know what is this scripture? What is it?
Scripture.
And down. Can you read it?
No, because I know.
What languages?
This is
Raphael and the other fellow they can read it and we teach this course.
Yeah.
It's very important. So it says that Frad and Kushesh دانشگاه پهلوی.
Yeah.
So of course this university are going to get started now. And Oriental University, have you seen the logo? Oriental University now is Charlotte.
There's a lot of this logo that's inspired by traditional motifs. A lot of
This one I'm trying to find out.
some of this
Sir.
for my presentation.
Of course, I saw that, but rather than those one, I think these two that university, one of them nobody knows who they were designing. It's good to do research and find out who were the people like that, right? My other question is, have you seen Iranian flag?
Yeah,
What is that logo there?
Shirkhorshid movie.
Khurshid. Khurshid was right. Right now, what is the emblem? What is the logo?
Which
The Islamic Republic.
No, in Iran.
No,
Yeah,
no, I didn't.
I also knew that, but I take Uber to come here, and when some of these drivers they are sick from India. This is exactly that.
Yes,
one
it's very
that they have it in their car, and that's the one. So
It's similar to the,
the same.
yeah.
Not exactly, because I have seen the logo of the Islamic Republic on chairs owned by this old family, Iranian family that resided in London. These are from early 20th century. The chairs were designed. So it was absolutely similar to the logo of the Islamic Republic.
Yes.
So the idea here is that there is, first of all, such a vast number of logos that have been created in the 20th century. So Mahak is focusing only on some of them to explore. You could write an article on Aryam.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Maybe she did some research that
No.
that logo doesn't have anything with India or
No, it does. It does. Definitely does.
we have questions online. Mr. Bahajwala, I can see your question. Would you like to unmute and ask the question yourself?
Okay, yeah, thank you for your research and presentation. Nice to see the Sasanian Zarathushtri period designs along with the later period designs. And my question was, were the later period designs influenced by the earlier period designs?
Influenced by the earlier in the Sasanian Zarathushtri. I can read the question to you, yeah. It's nice to see Sasanian Zoroastrian period designs along with later period designs. Were the later period designs influenced by earlier period designs? That's what you said.
So in a sense, to the sort of medieval Iranians, when they were designing things, could have been inspired by ancient.
Some periods that was this follow this way, and for example, Ashkanian and Sasanian. That's very very interested to follow the previous ancient, such as Achaemenid art.
Could you find, for example, during the Safavid, people who were looking at?
Yes, most of them has their a specific style for them. But in the some periods, such as Sasanian and Ashkanian, they interested to follow the previous culture.
Right.
But other, they have the specific.
Thank you.
yes, style for them. And because of this, we find the style of the art this time because of the unique thing.
Thank you.
I can see you have a question. If you'd like to unmute yourself and ask question yourself. And if you're not here, I'm going to read the question. Nasiba says, thank you for your study. I apologize, I've lost the most part of your talk. I find your research very interesting. Regarding continuity, could you present the continuous use of each motif throughout every century? If we do know that Zoroastrians migrated back and forth from Iran to India in Empire, Persianate war.
Yes,
You're focused on logo.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
no.
and
Your focus is on logos rather than.
need to be a workshop.
Yeah.
And
So I was gonna ask you, I was very much interested in your talk, and so it was really visually pleasing and intellectually stimulating. And I wanted to ask if there has been a special interest to a certain part of Iranian history to draw inspiration from and design the logos. If you have any information on
Was
that.
that again? Special part? No. No, like.
Inspiration. As do we see like a trope? Do we see like a trend that Iranian artists usually use? There are inspiration from certain period.
no, no, we can't. No, I don't think so. Because we found lots of logo that from the formal logo. You can see this. It goes back to the cars, and even the seal from the Shah Sukh. It goes back to 5,000 years ago. So there's no any specific time for the artist, the designer to
Rethink the question this way, so that, for example, could you see that graphic designers of the pre-revolutionary period largely drew from ancient Iran, and the logo designers of the post-revolutionary drew largely from the Islamic period? Could you see
maybe
this?
Islamic period because of its this script.
Yeah.
It's might be more than the other.
Yeah, I can add something to it because of the nationalization that we have through the Reza Shah period. Later on, these designs and motifs, yeah, like the ancient motif, they just kind of emerge into the not only for the designer of the logo, but also for the painters. They use these ancient, like mostly from the ancient, from Achaemenid and Sasanian.
So the focus shifts from one period to the other. Yeah.
Exactly.
Lots of logos that inspire.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Different.
Exactly.
Here.
Have you designed those one ISS?
Yes, yes, this is
Like it does many the ISS.
Iranian Iranian Studies Student Forum, the organization that has organized this event. Yeah,
really.
The student organization. They are here. They're all sitting here. Yeah, yes. And much of the posters that you see here, banners, were all designed by Mahak. Yeah. This is my gallery.
Yeah, I just ask what is your favorite logo? So the favorite logo of all time.
Can't choose. Yeah, that's what is for more, I think. and even stuff at home because of the meaning of every final.
And because like, yeah, because as you mentioned, like the form and meaning are so.
Yes, connection between them.
Logos of some of the newspapers that Leila, you have explored. For example, Nahid's logo.
Yes.
Those are
I think
enduring.
yeah, they are not as abstract as like the graphic designer logos later on in Pahlavi period, but they are showing the real picture and most likely designed like the reality of like the scene. For example, an angel is like in front of a train is coming and in front of another like angels. So like the real figures, not really abstract figures. Yeah, but they try to become more abstract when it comes to the calligraphy, like calligraphy as a logo. So yeah, it's a
You don't know my was done by her
No.
also?
No.
It's designed by a famous designer from
No, that's
Yeah.
yes, that's logo designed by.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Resolved.
Resolved.
That's a typography.
You don't know.
So that must be older, right?
You don't know mine?
How old is it?
It was done about 10 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, please.
If the audience online have any questions, please feel free to ask. And if not, Mahak John is having an in-person workshop. We're gonna learn, just get our hands dirty with designing logos. And if you don't have any questions, we're gonna close the Zoom session. And thank you, Mahak John. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All the audience online for your brilliant questions, and thank you so much. Have a good one.